Hey, how are you? Get to know who. I see who. I feel like this is like that's some other way to put it. Oh, something else put it on. Oh well. Is the music too loud? Let me know. Now you know what you did today, but everything was perfect. That that worked out perfectly. So you can get me the blurb for tomorrow night and just post it in there like you did today. That's great because I just copy and pasted it over. What that does is the way they've set it up, there's a description box now, and I can, hey Pebbles, I can just copy and paste it over into that description box, and when people are looking for the books and stuff, they can see. How's Miss Pebbles doing? Fancy, how's the music? You got about an inch or two of rain today. Yes, I have a blanket. I'm cold. Ugh. Okay, good. Thank you, Miss Pebbles. Fancy's too busy saying hi to everybody. I found that it's called Erotic Lounge, I think. It's a continuous mix. It's like an hour long. So I was looking for some sexy instrumental music. I like instrumental when I'm reading this because it helps me kick me out. My head's been hurting me all day. The instrumental doesn't get mixed up with my reading. That's what I was trying to say. Nina, are we gonna have a author tonight? We had about 3 more minutes. Oh my gosh, y'all! Does anybody like blue raspberry, like blue raspberry Kool-Aid, blue raspberry uh, snow cones, anything blue raspberry? Yeah. Hey, Ms. Greer. Thank you, Ms. Author. There we go. Anyways, V8 juice has a. I've only found it in the big bottles, but it may have it in smaller bottles. But V8 has blue raspberry with antioxidants and B vitamins in it. We got 5% juice though. I don't know why they call it V8 if it ain't got 8 juice in it, but it tastes like blue. It tastes like blue Kool-Aid. Mister, perdóname. Mister, thank you. See, that's why I don't like initials when I'm doing this part of my. I don't know who I'm talking to. My apologies. In the beginning, there was sex. I would need. Oh, now not only do we have words, we have. And you're not the first author I've done stuff like that with. I'm, like I said, my apologies, but all right, Nina, we'll get ready. We'll do this. All right, ready, Nina? You got your toys? Dang it, I went and charged. I wouldn't put mine. I had two sitting here on my table this morning. I got two new ones. And I went and charged them and put them up at lunchtime today. Dang it. Oh, well. Oh, I'm sure you're going to need it with a cover like that. Damn. Okay, so let's get my other glasses on. Y'all are going to have to bear with me. My head's been hurting me off and on all day. It's okay right now, but who knows? All right, we ready? All right. Sean, chapter 1. I'm sweating, and I'm not sure if it's because that's not what I wanted to do. Go back. Trying to turn it down just a little bit and about turned it down too low. Okay. Sean, I'm sweating, and I'm not sure if it's because of how hot it is in the room or because of how hard I'm working, but the sweat is pouring off me. I watch it fall and land on Becky's chest as I hover above her and have to distract myself from the tiny puddles between her breasts. She has all of my attention, but when I look at her, I'm not sure I have all of hers. Every now and then, Becky's eyes seem to fade away, like a TV that keeps losing its picture ever so often. It's as if she's not here in her head, but her body is lying beneath me. She's so beautiful, and I can barely stand. She's so beautiful, I can barely stand it. Sometimes I can hardly believe I landed Rebecca Richmond, but it's been over a year now, and the two of us are still together. She's still my everything, and I'm hers. Yet, I still haven't figured out how everything about her and this Yet, I still haven't figured out everything about her, and this is it. This is the part that continues to be a mystery to me. I look down on Becky and I yearn to watch her crumble beneath me. I want her to scream for me, to scream my name loud enough for the neighbors to hear while I screw her senseless. I mean, that literally, I mean that literally, by the way. I want to bang Becky so good that she loses all feeling in her limbs. I want her comatose when we're finished. But that fantasy has been nothing more than just that, a fantasy. Today, however, I'm going to make it come true. The night started off right, the two of us having dinner at Longhorn Steakhouse in Dover. White wine reaching for the brim of our wine glasses as I made sure the waiter kept them full all night, and playful touching underneath the table throughout dinner. The more we drank, the more I could tell Becky was ready to get home. She kept letting me know with those round, light brown eyes start staring at me the way they do when she wants it. Her foot kept finding its way to my shin and crawling up my leg like a curious spider. The scene had been set from the very beginning, and now it's on me to bring it home. Hug me harder, Sean, I hear Becky blurt, and it catches me off guard. I startle, losing my focus as the memory of our evening together dissipates, and I realize the moment I'm supposed to be bringing home has already begun, and I'm letting it slip away. When I look down at Becky, her round eyes glare at me, and I swear I can sense disappointment peeking out at me from just beyond behind her pupils. She's trying to hide it, but it's there again. I focus my energy into thrusting in and out of Becky. She wants it hard? Perfect. That's how I'm going to give it to her. I have to reposition myself to get my balance just right, but I manage to maneuver into an angle that provides me the perfect posture to give it to Becky how she wants it. I thrust in and out of her, doing it as hard as I can. Our bodies slap together, and I know I have to be doing it right. Our skin clapping echoes off the walls. The sweat keeps dripping from me like a leaky faucet, and it feels amazing to me. I might not be getting much depth, But Becky can't say I'm not screwing her hard now. She wanted it hard, and this is as hard and as fast as I can do it. After a minute or two of slamming in and out of Becky like a machine, my breathing starts to rise louder than the sound of our bodies colliding. I'm getting tired, but I'm still determined to satisfy her. I lose more and more of my rhythm as my lungs start to struggle to bring in the amount of air I need, and eventually I'm thrown completely off. Becky lets out a wisp of air beneath me, but when she looks up and sees me watching her, the expression on her face lightens up. She doesn't look mad, and I notice every ounce of effort she has to put into controlling the muscles in her face. She squints her eyes to make herself look more into it than she really is, and she even lets out a squeal to convince me. Keep going, baby, she whispers, and her words are all I need to recharge my battery. I take a deep breath like I'm about to dive underwater and start my engine back up, pounding Becky like a madman. She lets out small screams every now and then, and I watch her hands slip down between the two of us. Becky starts to rub her clit, and just watching her sets me ablaze. She's so gorgeous, and it's so hot watching her that I slow down just to witness it. No, don't stop, she says, pulling me back into the moment. Choke me. My mind scrambles and I lose control of my body just long enough to stop pumping altogether. What? What? I ask because I couldn't have heard her right. Choke me, Sean. Don't stop. Keep going. Becky barks before grabbing a hold of my hand and placing it around her throat. Yeah, choke me and keep fucking me. I hate that she had to tell me, but I like what I'm hearing, although it's hard to believe. This is a first, but it's so hot that I feel rejuvenated by it. My muscles spring to life and I thrust in and out of Becky just like she asked. My grip on her throat is light, though, because the last thing I want to do is pass out from me applying her pass out. Let me start that over again. Because the last thing I want her to do is pass out from me applying too much pressure. Becky lifts her head, forcing her neck into my hand, but I don't want to hurt her, so I make sure to keep my grip loose. I love her too much to hurt her, and not to mention the fact that I'm a man and she's a woman. I'm stronger than her, and if I squeeze too tight, she might lose consciousness, and I'd have to call an ambulance. That'd be ugly for the night to end. Choke me, Sean! Keep choking me! Becky demands again, the skin on her neck starting to turn red beneath my grip. Her eyes are closed and her hand works furiously between us as Becky rubs her clit as fast as she can. It's in that moment that I look at her face and see how red she is. Her cheeks are flushed and a bead of sweat rolls down her face. I'm choking her too hard, I know it. I don't want to hurt her. I can't do that. So I pull my hand away from her throat and move it down to her breast. Becky's breasts are the best I've ever seen, and I'm a man who really loves breasts. Some guys love butts, but not me. I'm a breast all the way. I'm breast all the way. So when my hand finds her nipple, her supple, thick breast, I'm in heaven. Man, cross-eyed tonight. Becky lets out a long breath that confuses me on whether or not it's a breath of pleasure or anger, but I choose not to linger on that. Instead, I get back to work, pounding Becky with everything in me while I squeeze her beautiful tits together. When I look down at her, it all looks so good that I feel everything surge forward in a rush. I know where this is going, and although I'm not sure if Becky came already or not, I feel myself running towards the edge, and there's too much momentum for me to stop now. You're so sexy, Becky, I yell as I feel myself take the plunge. I'm coming. It hits me like a train wreck, and my body goes into full spasms. My eyes slam shut, my hands clench into a fist, and I fall into a glorious orgasm that curls my toes before falling down on top of the love of my life. When I regain my senses, my breathing is long and drawn out. Sweat has formed another tiny puddle on Becky's chest where my head lays, and I feel like I accomplished my mission. That was fantastic for me. Sean, I hear Becky call for me, and I smile in anticipation of her praise. Yeah, yes, baby. I manage to answer between ragged breaths. Get off me, please. Becky reaches up, places a hand on my shoulder, and pushes me over to the side. The second she's free from the weight of my body, Rebecca gets up, throws on her black and blue robe, and storms into the bathroom, slamming the door behind her. You don't have to be a genius to realize what just happened. That's never been my problem, though. Hindsight and I are best friends. But by then, it's too late. I can never pull it all together in the moment when I need to. So, once again, Becky's in the bathroom, riddled with disappointment, and I'm left alone in bed, wondering what it is I'm doing wrong. Malcolm. Lord, all these different voices. It's going to be good. Open your eyes, Ava. I want you to see everything. Do you understand? Yes, sir, she replies in a whisper. Both the sound and sight of her to get together send blood rushing to my cock. I'm as hard as concrete, and Ava can see it, because when I walk in front of her to address her, my robe is wide open, revealing my naked body underneath. My hard cock is only inches from her face, and I can sense her yearning for it. She wants it in every way, in her hands, in her mouth, and deep in her pussy. As much as she wants it, I want to give it to her, and I will, but only after she earns every inch of it. What what's your safe word, Ava? I ask as I walk around to the backside of the submissive, who's kneeling in front of my king size bed, completely naked now. Her body is a picture of perfection. Ava Pierson is 5'6", 165 pounds of luscious thickness, with dark brown hair that's tied into a ponytail and hanging to the middle of her back. Her lips aren't what I would call thick, but they're pouty and covered in a shiny gloss that is only minutes from being taken off. My safe word is Cleopatra, Ava answers. That's right. Why is it Cleopatra? Because I'm a queen, willingly giving myself to my king. I'm powerful, yet I choose to surrender to you. That's exactly right. Perfect. Now don't look anywhere else but at me. When I move, your eyes will follow me wherever I go. Do you understand? Yes, sir. There are 4 drawers on the underside of my bed, 2 on each side, and all 4 are pulled open, exposing all the toys I keep inside. One drawer has a variety of dildos in an assortment of sizes. Some vibrate, some twist, some are a combination of the two, while others are plain 10-inch dildos covered in thick veins. In another drawer, there is a collection of floggers. Some are suede, some are oiled leather, some are made of elk. All of them are beautiful with an array of colors and thicknesses. I have to admit, the floggers are my favorite. I'm biased towards them and they get the most use out of everything I own. When I spot the red and black rope handled of the leather flogger, I know I've already made my decision. That will be my choice for tonight. Lucky for me, this particular flogger is a favorite of Ava's as well. So I lift it out of the drawer and place it on the bed, close enough for her to see it out of her peripheral vision. Before moving again, I look into the large mirror that rests in front of Ava and sits in front of my bed. To my satisfaction, Ava's dark brown eyes are trained on me. She doesn't dare look away, and I smile on the inside. On the outside, I do nothing more than nod my approval and walk around to the other side of the bed, Ava watching me the entire time. I move slowly, making sure Ava watches as I pick up a red blindfold and red leather handcuffs with fur lining, before making my way over to her as she waits with restless anticipation. I let you see what I chose for you tonight, I say to her. I don't whisper because I want her to hear the deep rumble of my voice. I want it to command her. Now, I want you to see nothing. I want you to feel. Feel me. Trust me. Let me guide you. You are no longer in control. I am. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Good. Now close your eyes. I stand in front of Ava before I blindfold her, my cock only inches from her face. I know how much she would like to move, but she obeys my command to stay still. Even when I remove my robe altogether and my stiff erection hangs in midair, I hear her let out a breath, and I can tell from just looking down at her that her pussy is already dripping with me. By the time we get to where we're going, she'll be ready to come in seconds. Ava keeps her eyes trained on my cock up until the moment I place the blindfold over her eyes and tie it in the back so it doesn't move. Once it's secure, I kneel behind Ava and I fasten the links on the cuffs together, locking her wrists together behind her back. I'll let my tongue graze Ava's shoulder and slide up to her neck before standing up and tossing the keys onto the floor next to her. The next step I choose to take is to tease my subject. I know Ava is already on the verge. I can sense it and how sensitive her skin is. The way she gets goosebumps from the slightest touch or when my skin is close to hers and she anticipates being touched. I want to take that a step further so she truly appreciates when the touch finally does happen. So I pick up the flogger and let the leather strands graze her shoulder. She shivers at the touch of it, and I smile to myself as I walk around her body, watching her in the mirror. The flogger caresses her shoulder, then slithers to her chest before slipping down to her breast, just long enough to bring her nipples to peak sensitivity. Do you want it? I ask. Yes, sir. Her voice is airy and drippy with eagerness, and I can't help but notice when Ava licks her lips, showing me just how hungry for me she truly is. Tell me what you want, Ava, I demand. For you to use the flogger, sir. You want the flogger? You have to earn it. Open your mouth. Ava licks her lips once again, just before parting them and letting her mouth drop open for me. This relationship is give and take. I'm in control, yes, but being in control means more than just making demands. It requires watching. It calls for paying attention to what she wants and then forcing her to earn it. Right now, I know Ava wants to be flogged because she loves it, but what she really wants is my cock in her mouth. She's been eyeballing it from the moment she knelt in front of me and I unfastened the string of my robe. Now I take pleasure in giving her what she craves. I let Ava's mouth remain open for a moment before finally stepping in front of her and rubbing the tip of my cock on her top lip, removing her lip gloss. I move slowly, inch by inch, before moving to her bottom lip and repeating the process. When I finally allow her to feel the sensation of my cock entering her mouth, Ava is bursting from the seams. She takes all of me as far back as her mouth will let her without setting off her gag reflex, and my head falls back as she sucks me. She has less control with her hands bound behind her back, but Ava is still a pro. I can tell she enjoys what she's doing just as I enjoy letting her do it. After a couple of minutes, just as Ava starts to moan with how much she loves it, I pull my dick away and take a step back. Her mouth stays open as she breathes heavily, taking in long gulps of air. Her desire for me is almost too much to be held in check, but she manages. Now I grab the flogger and let it kiss the skin on her chest once again, so she knows what's about to happen. Then I flick my wrist and let the braids slap Ava's chest. She lets out a chirp of excitement and pleasure before I flick my wrist again, the braids landing on her right thigh this time. She squeals again, and I take a few minutes to walk around, using the flogger all over Ava's defenseless body. I make sure to flog her but her face everywhere but her face and arms before I demand that she stand up. Breathing as hard as a sprinter, Ava stands with my help, and I control her by tugging on the handcuffs. I spin Ava around until she's facing the bed before pushing her forward and letting her body land on the soft mattress face down. Once she's in position, I continue flogging her. The braids spank Ava across her back, legs, and ass over and over again until her skin is red. I even whip her lightly between her legs, teasing her clit with a string I know she can handle. Ava moans with each touch of the flogger, and each moan makes my cock harder. When I put the flogger down, it's to reach over and pick up the larger sized condom I had waiting. I tear open the package and slip it on, before positioning myself on Ava's back and leaning over to whisper in her ear. Are you ready for me to fuck you, Ava? Yes, sir, I'm ready. Are you ready to come for me? Yes, yes, sir. Without another word, I slide my cock into Ava's pussy, and I'm shocked at how wet she is. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a small pond beneath her when this is over. And it's a good thing I won't have to sleep in this spot because I'm going to make her pussy splash all over this comforter. Both of us gasp at how good the initial insertion feels. And because I know how ready she is for it, I don't waste time with moving slowly. I fuck Ava with a passion, and she's no longer moaning. She screams for me at the top of her lungs, and I'm glad my house is a single unit. Otherwise, the sound would travel through the walls and shake the neighbors out of their sleep. I fuck Ava hard and deep, using every inch of my cock, and her body stiffens beneath me as her skin starts to turn pink and then red. Oh, fuck! She shouts, and I know it's coming. She's ready to come, and I'm anxious to feel it. It's what I live for. If there's a part of sex that I could call my favorite, it's the orgasm. Not mine, but hers. There isn't a thing in this world that's sexier than a woman coming. I crave it, and now it's me who's teeming with anticipation as I await what I know is only seconds away. Can I please come? She screams as if she still has some semblance of control, but in reality, it's me who can tip her over the edge with another thrust of my cock. I pause for a single second before granting her permission. Yes! I growl in her ear just as I spank her ass and start to fuck with hard, powerful strokes. Come for me, Ava. Fuck! She bellows loud enough to knock pictures off the wall before unleashing a guttural shriek that fills the entire room before bursting through the door and engulfing the entire house. Ava screams with every thrust of my dick as her orgasm rocks her, and watching her come beneath me is just the jolt my body needs to send me over the edge as well. My own orgasm tears through my body like an explosion, and the two of us scream in unison as bliss overtakes us. Once it's all said and done, I collapse onto Ava's back, both of us breathing as hard and fast as the sex we just had. She's still just as beautiful as ever, even with sweat beading all over her face and a blindfold covering her eyes. I take a moment to gather myself before pulling out and discarding the used condom. I get up, leaving Ava bound on the bed, and wash my cock off with a towel and slip back into my robe before removing Ava's handcuffs and blindfold. Once she's free, Ava rolls over and closes her eyes. Holy fucking God, Malcolm, she says, her voice raspy from being worn out. You're fucking incredible. No one has ever fucked me the way you do. Not even close. I smile at the compliment before getting up and walking it back into the bathroom. Hey, where are you going? Ava asked with a frown. You can't stay in bed? I can make us breakfast if you want. I appreciate it, I reply. But no, I have to go. I have a session in an hour. Good morning, Dr. Colson. What's everybody saying? Mm-mm-mm. Hey, Olivia. Crazies. Chapter 3, Malcolm. My office is located in downtown Dover, Delaware. It's a small town vibe, but I love it here. I've lived in Dover my entire life, and I wouldn't have it any other way. There's nothing like the East Coast life, and Dover is special because of its perfect location. Small town at home, but centered between major cities like Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. You can be in any city in under 3 hours. So I often take trips out of town to get a taste of the city life before driving back home to the small town vibe that I grew up in and love. When I enter my office, my assistant, Keisha Gibson, is already seated at her desk in the small lobby. Keisha is a 40-year-old woman with black twisted braids that run down her back and dark brown skin. She's been my assistant for all 5 of the years I've been working in this profession, and she's been top notch from the very beginning. Even though she's 10 years older than me, she appreciates that when I went to school for a long time to become a therapist. All right. She appreciates that I went to school for a long time to become a therapist, and she's a big help in keeping all of this in order. My personal life can sometimes make it hard to remain focused on my professional life. Keisha's job isn't only to schedule my appointments and keep me on track with everything on the agenda. It it's also to make sure I don't let my professional and personal lives compound, which can be a task. Good morning, Dr. Colson, Keisha says with a smile. Her braids are tied into a ponytail today, and her yellow sundress hugs her body. Morning, Keisha. Running late? A little. Better get in there. Your first patient shouldn't be too much longer. I push open the brown wooden door to my office and step inside, closing it behind me. My office is decked out in dark walnut wood furniture that gives the space an outdoor type of feel. I want my clients to be as comfortable as possible here because the topics we discuss tend to make most people uncomfortable. The more relaxed and comfortable I can make my patients, the more likely they are to open up to me about their secrets. The couches are brown and black fabric with plush cushions and a single pillow, just in case someone needs to fiddle with or clutch. I made sure to stay away from leather because I didn't want the sound of the couch to distract from the session every time a client moved. I need their full attention. This is their safe place. In here, we tear down walls and barriers and reveal the passion and pleasure behind them. I have a large desk that rests in the corner of the room where I track appointments and transcribe notes I take during each session. I keep files there and play music from it when I'm between patients, but when I have somebody on my couch, I sit in a black armchair directly across from the patient. We can't be separated by a desk. It has to feel much more personal than that, like we're just two people hanging out and having a deep conversation. The walls are covered in pieces of art that aren't too distracting, basically black and white pieces, and there's a single mirror on the wall behind my desk that I now find myself looking into. The height of the mirror is higher than most people would expect because I'm 6'2", so most of my clients can't see themselves in it without actually trying to. My hair is short and lined up, as is my beard, and I double check to make sure I look professional in my white button up and tan slacks that seem to make my caramel skin and green eyes stand out today. I don't look like a man who woke up at 5 in the morning to have sex and barely left the house in time. That's good. I look ready to meet my new patient. My image is important when meeting someone for the first time. So I'm glad I was able to tear myself away from Ava in time to put it all together. Dr. Colson, your 7:30 has arrived. Keisha's voice calls to me over the intercom. I give myself one last once over before taking a deep breath and answering my assistant. Thank you, Keisha. I walk across the office and open the door to find an innocent looking man with pale skin seated across from Keisha in one of the two brown chairs. He's also wearing a white button up, but his pants are black. He looks younger than me with his clean shaven face, but the inexperience and insecurity I see wafting off of him isn't because of his age. He looks timid, even when he stands up and shakes my hand, but his grip is strong like he was thinking about it before engaging in a handshake. He's apprehensive, but wants to portray confidence before the session starts. A lot of men think that seeking therapy makes them weak. So when they manage to drag themselves into a therapist's office, it takes a while before they're able to let go of the unnecessary effort of trying to look as though they don't need to be here. Some men would rather look like an ass than look weak or in need of help. No worries, though, we'll break through that. Sean Tillman, I ask, although it's rhetorical. Yeah, yes. Let me get my voice straight because I use the same voice on both of them. All right, we're going to do Sean Tillman. Yes, yes. My newest patient answers with a smile. Good morning. I'm Dr. Malcolm Colson. Good morning, Dr. Colson. It's Colson. It's so nice to meet you. You as well. Come in and make yourself comfortable, Sean. Let's get started. Chapter 4, Malcolm. I know virtually nothing about Sean Tillman. The only thing I make sure Keisha writes down when we get new patients is their name and age. I do it this way on purpose because when patients come in, I want to be able to ask questions that get them to open up. I want to learn everything about them from their own mouths. Over the years, I've found that asking someone a simple question and then allowing them the space to elaborate often provokes a thorough, in-depth response. In this profession, it's just what a patient says, it's also how they say it. Sean Tillman comes in and takes a seat on the couch facing away from the wall, and I take my place across from him in my black armchair with my yellow legal pad firm in hand. Sean is nervous, which is typical, but I feel only excitement when I take my seat. This is a new journey that's about to begin, and I'm anxious to get started. The first thing I observe about Sean is his physical features. He's roughly 5'9", maybe 165 pounds. He's a little on the skinny side and doesn't seem overly concerned with fashion. His clothes aren't fitted properly. His hair hangs loosely over his forehead, and he's wearing plain brown New Balance tennis shoes. He dresses for comfort, not for style, which gives me the slightest insight about what might bring Sean in today. I also can't help but notice that Sean is here by himself, which affords me another clue. I'm a relationship therapist who specializes in sex therapy, so I find myself wondering how Sean's appearance is perceived. It's true that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, especially in my profession. Instead of focusing on Sean's physical attributes, I take a deep breath and exhale loud enough for him to hear. I'm hoping he'll mirror me, which he does, letting out a whoosh of air of his own. Good. It'll help him to relax for the start of the session. All right. Good morning, Sean. I begin as I place my legal pad in my lap and leave it there, giving Sean my full attention. Why don't you tell me what brings you here? Sean swallows hard before letting out another exhale. He's trying to help himself get over his nerves, and I smile at him to help him feel safe enough to begin. Well, Sean starts, which is exactly how I imagined he'd begin. I've been having some relationship issues lately. Well, it's one particular issue, and I'm hoping to get some assistance. Talk it through, pinpoint my problem. Sean pauses, waiting for me to ask another question, but another question isn't needed yet. So I simply add, I see, before stopping to let him continue. Sean clears his throat. um, you'll have to forgive me. I'm a bit nervous about this. It's a sensitive subject, and I'm not sure how to begin. Never thought I'd find myself in a therapist's office talking about this kind of stuff. I understand. I reply with a calm, confident nod. Am I correct in assuming that you know what it is I specialize in? Yes. Okay. So you're aware that it's my job to talk about relationships and the issues within them. It's also my job to talk candidly about sex. Trust me, Sean, there isn't anything you can say that would offend or surprise me. I've been a relationship and sex therapist for 5 years now, and as much as I'm against tooting my own horn, I'm good at what I do. I know it's easier said than done, especially upon first meeting me, but you don't have to feel embarrassed or ashamed of anything that is said in this office. I'm here to help you in whatever ways I can. It's not my job to judge one way or another. What you can expect from me, Sean, is honesty. I go on giving Sean the speech it seems I have to give all my new clients, especially the nervous ones. I want to challenge you to be honest with yourself, and that requires you to be honest with me. I'll ask you to speak in very blunt terms, and I'll speak to you the same way. So it's important that neither one of us takes offense with anything either of us says. We're to be totally forthright and transparent with each other. And as long as we can do that, I think we'll have great success in helping you break through whatever barricades are in your way. By the time we're done, I hope you'll be more confident in yourself and your abilities as a partner than you have been. I'm dedicated to helping you, Sean. You have my full attention and also my full discretion. Nothing we say here will ever leave this room. If you want to do nothing more than scream and vent for the next hour, you're welcome to do that. I'll let you. However, if you want to solve problems, I'm ready to work with you. So, what would you like to do? Sean stares at me, blinking like he just learned how to do it, before swallowing hard again. He repositions himself on the couch, crosses one leg over the other, and nods his head in a silent agreement with himself. I want to solve a problem, he admits, this time speaking with more poise. Perfect. Then let's get to it. All right. He clears his throat, then lets it all burst out of him. Every time I have sex with my girlfriend, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Even when we had sex this morning, I'm pretty sure she didn't orgasm. In fact, I think she hasn't been orgasming for a while now. I can't seem to get it right, and I'm worried it's starting to really affect how she sees me. I need to fix it. I need to learn how to do what she wants. The only problem is that I'm not sure what that is. Is that something you can help me with? The smile that overtakes my face is one I can't control. It's one of assurance that comes from years of doing this job, but also from a lifetime of specializing in the nuances of the female body and finding different ways to bring it to orgasm. This is what I live for. This is what I do. This is who I am. Most definitely, Sean, I answer, leaning back in my chair. Most definitely. Tell me everything. Malcolm. Chapter 5. Where would you like me to begin? Let's start with the basics, I answer. What's your girlfriend's name? Her name is Rebecca Richmond, but everyone just calls her Becky. Cool. And what does Becky do for a living? She's a resource advisor for Bay Health Hospital. She spends all of her time talking to doctors and nurses and hospital administrators. This is interesting. Sean's girlfriend spends all her time working with people who are in positions of power and prestige, according to societal opinions. Male doctors are considered to be men of authority and are held in very high regard. Sean hasn't said it yet, but I already find myself wondering if Becky feels some type of way about positions of power in her personal and professional life. And how long have the two of you been dating? I ask as I write down Becky's info, making sure to underline the part about working with doctors regularly. It's been just over a year, 15 months, Sean says with a warm smile on his face. Something in his demeanor perks up at the thought of his relationship with Becky. He's in love, no doubt about it. We actually moved in together about 2 months ago. It's been great. That's fantastic, I reply, echoing his enthusiasm. You seem to really care about her. I can see it in how your body responds when you think of her. Yeah, I love her very much, Sean says with an unashamed confidence. He's got that part right, which is always good to see. Some people try to act as though they don't really care as much as they actually do, and that always causes problems with the significant other. We're really good friends, Sean goes on. We always have been. We met at work 2 years ago. I'm a nurse at Bay Health, and we just hit it off. It seemed like we just started laughing from the moment we met. We get along great and have nearly everything in common. She's the person I tell everything to, and I'm the person for her. I'm that person for her as well. I was a little concerned about her being a resource advisor and me just being a nurse instead of a doctor, but she's never had a problem with it. Why were you concerned about it? I asked, hoping this will lead me to some answers about how Becky and Sean view positions of power. Well, how could I not be? Sean inquires with a shrug. RAs are powerful people. They're important. They call the shots a lot of the time and have authority over a lot of people in the hospital because they control the money. In a sense, it's like I work for her. It's bad enough that she's 4 years older than me. So when I think about the fact that I work for her and that she deals with people who are much more powerful than me, I figure she just she just wants someone more on her level. A nurse isn't on her level. You assume a powerful woman would only want to date a powerful man? Well, yeah, Sean admits. It turned out, however, that she's the most down to earth woman I've ever met. And she only cares about people's actions. She likes to laugh, and I'm able to provide that for her. I guess things being so serious all the time at our place at work makes her want to be able to decompress with laughter. At work, she's strictly business. At home, she's so lighthearted and humorous. She's great, really. That's great to hear, Sean. You have a solid foundation of friendship, and that's so important in any relationship that's meant to last. Most people only have sex and try to use that as the glue to relate to the as the glue to the relationship, but that rarely works. A strong friendship is absolutely essential. That's wonderful. Okay, so now let's move on to the sex. At the mention of the word, Sean has to reposition himself, planting both feet on the hardwood floor as if he's bracing himself. The muscles in his face tighten and his jaw flexes. This is very different from the love I saw emanating off him when talking about his friendship with Becky. Let's start with the evidence, I say to Sean. I cross one leg over the other and maintain eye contact. I'm like a child waiting to be told a story. You said you had sex with your girlfriend this morning and you're pretty sure she didn't orgasm. Pretty sure. What makes you so sure? Sean clears his throat. No, he mutters, his forehead scrunching in frustration now. It seemed like maybe she was about to, but then she didn't. I tried to do it faster, but it didn't seem to work, no matter what I did. You tried to do what faster? Um, I don't know, Sean stammers, and I interject quickly. Sean, does vulgarity make you uncomfortable? Are you offended by swearing? No, of course not. Okay, so if you want to tell me that you tried to fuck your girlfriend faster, it's okay for you to say that. You're not going to offend me. Is that what you meant? Sean stares at me for a moment, surprised by my use of the word fuck. If only he knew how often I use that word and how thrilled I am when I use it in my most intimate moments. Yeah, that's what I meant, he replies. Okay, good. I'd like to just explore that a little bit, if you don't mind. You said you thought Becky was about to orgasm, so you tried to fuck her faster. So let's take a step back. Were you fucking her hard and fast when you thought she was about to orgasm? Not really. I mean, I was sweating a lot and I was definitely working hard, but maybe it wasn't that fast. I was able to speed up, so it's not like I was going as fast as I could. Okay, let's think about that. You weren't fucking Becky hard and fast when she was about to orgasm, but when you noticed she might be about to, you started fucking her faster. Is that right? Sean swallows hard and looks down at the floor as thoughts flood in his mind like a dam just broke in his head. I haven't laid it all out there for him, but he can already see where this is going. And that lets me know that Sean Tillman is going to be a good patient. Yeah, that's right, Sean agrees, but he looks even more uncomfortable now. I think you already see where I'm going with this, Sean. You had Becky on the verge of orgasm with whatever you were doing before, but when you noticed her getting close, you changed it. You moved away from the thing that brought her to the edge of orgasm in the first place. There's a few issues with what you told me, but the first thing is that you changed what was already working. This is the perfect place to insert the saying of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's your first step, Sean, I say as I lean forward and smile at my newest patient. In our next session, we're going to explore the clues that led you to believe Becky was about to orgasm. But for now, you need to know that if you've successfully managed to push her all the way to the edge of the cliff, you don't need to switch gears and start hammering her in the head to force her to go over. You simply need to keep pushing. I observe Sean closely here, keeping my eyes locked onto his face, but checking his body language as well. I watch as the realization of what I said washes over him like a hot shower. He sees how I made the connection and is probably asking himself how he didn't realize it himself. He has nothing to be ashamed of, though. Sometimes we just need a little nudge in the right direction, and that nudge sets off a brilliant set of fireworks that lights up the entire sky in our minds. Sean, Sean has a long way to go, but his first step in the right direction is a good one. Okay, last chapter, all right, ladies? Get them ready. Chapter 6, Mouth. My session with Sean was a good one. In this profession, I've found that there are a multitude of patients who have a wide range of emotions and reactions to therapy. Some people are more open and willing to accept what I'm telling them. Those people apply what they've been exploring in our time together, and 9 times out of 10, things work out for them. I'm not saying I get it right absolutely every time without fail, but in most cases, when the client listens to me, things pick up for them, if not come together completely. Some clients, however, are closed minded from the outset of therapy. They come in the situation hoping that therapy fails because that would somehow prove to them that they never needed therapy to begin with. I can spot those people 10 minutes into the first session, but it's my job to try to beat the odds that a patient may have in their heads. I try to overcome whatever obstacles may be in the way. I'm a competitive man by nature. So if I know I'm being doubted, I just want to turn up the heat and try harder. Figure out a way to get what I want. Thankfully, I won't have to worry about that with Sean. My drive home is a quiet one. Dover is a small city, but the green farmland and trees are always on display here. The wind is always an easy breeze that slips through the windows of my black BMW as I drive up North DuPont after leaving the office. I hit the highway, heading south for 10 minutes before exiting towards Magnolia, where my home is located. When I pull in the driveway, I'm a little irked by what I see. There's a red Nissan in my driveway already, Ava's car. When I left the house this morning, Ava was still in bed. I didn't mind leaving her there because I knew the reason she was worn out was because of the sex we had before I headed to the office. I liked the idea of her being too exhausted to climb out of bed and step back into the black dress she'd worn before I ordered her to step out of it and kneel in front of my bed. I love that she has to take time to recover from how I fuck her. But when I left, I expected her to be gone before I returned. Ava and I have been seeing each other for nearly 2 months, so we've spent an adequate amount of time together, and I couldn't possibly count how many times we've had sex, but we don't live together. There are rules to being with me, and Ava being here is breaking a big one. When I turn the knob to enter my house, I don't see anything at first. Ava is nowhere to be found. I close the door leading to the garage and step into the kitchen, which has all the lights off except the one over the sink. There isn't a sound in the place. Ava, I call out, but there's no answer. In front of me is my living room with its white sectional couch and royal blue armchair, empty and ottoman untouched. The TV is off, but the fireplace beneath it is burning in a beautiful slow dance that sends orange light flickering off the walls. I love putting on the fireplace and relaxing in front of it with a tumbler of whiskey in my hand. But I didn't turn on the fireplace. It could only have been Ava. I leave the fireplace crackling as I turn down the hall and walk past the dining room and library, making my way up the stairs where my bedroom rests, next to my office. The stairway is dark and the door to my room is closed, but I can see light shining beneath the door. Since the rest of the house is obviously unoccupied, I know Ava has to be in there. I have to fight back a rush of frustration that jolts me before I can reach out and open the door. When the door to my room swings open, I find Ava kneeling in front of my bed. She's completely naked and has her head down and eyes closed. Her dark brown hair is tied back into a ponytail that hangs behind her like a thin rope. And from this angle at the door, I can see the beautiful thickness in her thighs, hips, and belly as she sits with her feet tucked in her luscious ass. I want to be angry at her presence, but the sight of her is too seductive and inviting to feel anything other than an intense desire to fuck her. Ava, I call her, barely holding on to the resentment I felt when I pulled into the driveway. At this point, the irritation is nothing more than a candle struggling to remain lit in a room of darkness. It's there, but not strong enough to light up the room. Yes, sir, Ava replies, keeping her eyes closed and her head down. I can't take my eyes off her body and all its curves. Her thickness and unmistakable confidence in it makes my cock cry for her. There's nothing sexier than a confident woman, no matter what size she is. Confidence is everything, and a thick woman with confidence is you, she says, her voice driven with desire. I needed you again. I want to yell at her. I want to scream for her to get out now because I've had a long day at work and I want to unwind with a hot shower, a hot meal, and a cold drink. But all I see is her beauty, body, and obedience. With everything I crave sitting right in front of me, how the fuck am I supposed to resist? Needed me for what? I asked, anticipating the answer and feeling it in my pants. I needed you, Malcolm. I need you. I need you to fuck me the way that only you can, sir. Ava opens up her eyes and looks up at me, and the lust in her expression reaches out and grabs hold of me, locking me in. I let out a sigh, but it's not one of exasperation. It's one of desire, and I instinctively bite my lip as I make up my mind that I'm going to punish Ava for being here against my wishes. Yes, I'm going to punish her, and we're both going to love it. Bada boom, bada bang. That's it, boys and girls. What y'all think? Is it Nada or Nada? Hi there. Nice to meet you. Olivia, between you and Ori, it doesn't get much greedier. Pebbles, can't you keep them straight? Good gracious. Thank you, Mr. Greer. I appreciate that. Ori, go by the book. Good. Oh, hey, Olga. Thank you, Miss Shirley. I appreciate it. I know, Miss Pebbles. How's it going for you guys? Always, my little man. Alrighty. It is a naughty team. Naughty, naughty, naughty. All right, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Greer, for letting me read this. I appreciate it. It's very good, and I will enjoy it. And now then, tomorrow night, I have Ecstasy and Ink, Raven by Emily Rose. So that should be good. But yeah, the teasers on this look awesome. It's gonna be a sexy book. Nina gonna Ori gonna get her nasty on. All right, girls. I'm gonna get off from here. Gonna take some more meds for my headache, and I will holler at y'all later. Again, thank you, Mr. Gray. Appreciates it very much. I apologize. I wasn't in my normal cheery self. Got. I live in on the Georgia Tennessee line, and we get hurricanes through here all the time. Figure that one out for me, please, somebody. All right, everybody. Have a great evening and happy reading.